I think like many, my unrequited love for California started at a young age. As a young girl living in the swampy suburbs of Florida who dreamed big and absolutely loved watching movies and shows like Hannah Montana and That's a Raven and The Hills, all that took place in the beautiful landscapes of the West Coast. So after my mom passed away from cancer in 2019, I felt like most things around me were really starting to lose meaning. I knew that it was time to finally escape the suburbs and the weight of old memories. So I packed up my entire life in one suitcase and moved to the opposite coastline of the Golden State to start a new life. I thought that it would be my escape, a place where I could outrun my grief and start over. That was 5 years ago now, and I am about to turn 29. And as time passed, that dream really began to unravel. The golden promise of a fresh start, success, and glamour, they all just began to feel like illusions. And what I once viewed as an endless opportunity felt like an empty chase. Our decision to move really came down to two major things that I'm sure many of you can relate to, and that is money and community. I don't want to be too redundant and sit here and complain about the housing or the renting crisis that we're experiencing right now in America, because at the end of the day, if you live in the States, you know what I'm talking about. And California is definitely one of those places that surviving, not only just financially, but emotionally, was a lot harder than I imagined. The cost of living there was suffocating. And don't get me wrong, I was able to get a really great job that I worked at for a little over 2 years. But if you've watched my I was fired video, then you'd know that that job was also really draining my soul as well. I felt like I was constantly hustling just to keep my head above water. That's coming from someone who didn't have any school loans or any debt, so I really can't imagine how stressful it must be for people who do have that type of debt. But yeah, the gas, the cost of groceries, the cost of living was draining. What once felt like endless opportunity just turned into this exhausting grind that is kind of hard to keep up with if A, you're not mentally well, B, you don't have a good educational background or a really good job, or C, if you don't know people. Which kind of leads me to my second point, which is community, or lack of community, I should say. Finding and building community in Southern California, at least, was a lot harder than I expected it to be. This is not to say that I did not build really amazing and valuable connections out there, but overall the vibe and the lifestyle feels a little bit fast-paced and distant. People are usually always on the move, chasing dreams, or already quite established in their own lives or cliques or communities, making it kind of hard for someone else to break through. And I really craved close and meaningful relationships, but the casual and laid back vibe that SoCal especially is known for just didn't translate into that close-knit community that I really wanted. It just kind of felt like everyone was doing their own thing, and I understand as someone who's almost 30, I get it, trust me. I also don't have the mental capacity to keep up with like a lot of different friendships at times, but I don't know if this is like a major unpopular opinion, but I consider myself an East Coaster, being born and raised in Florida, and I'm just a lot more used to like a welcoming Southern hospitality vibe, whereas in California at least, that laid backness for me often translates into like a standoffish, curt, very dry vibe. Like I would honestly hate going to coffee shops in California and interacting with the baristas most of the time. It was very unpleasant. And I don't know, like this is gonna sound a little bit narcissistic, but no one ever complimented my outfits in California, like ever. And your girl can dress. I literally have only been out here in Colorado for like a little bit over a month, and I've gotten complimented like 2 times on my outfits, 1 time on my perfume, another time on my wallet. Like, I don't know what it is, but people in Cali are just very to themselves, and it was making me feel very antisocial and very to myself. Like, I didn't feel like approaching or complimenting other people, which is very unlike me. So yeah, I don't know. If you live in California as a person who wasn't born and raised there, let me know if you agree with any of this, if you can relate. I know that it's different for people who are like born and raised there, obviously, and already have that established community. I think it's like that for anyone. If that's your hometown, that's your home, which I understand. So I had a lot of really weird experiences where I would like match with people on Bumble BFF. We would add each other on Instagram, and I kid you not, I had people that were my friends on Instagram for like almost 2 years never made an effort to hang out with me in person. So we were just like virtual pen pals. I don't know. Everybody has a different friendship style, but that's just weird to me. Maybe in like another video, I will talk a little bit more about all the weird experiences that I've had in California, but that's not the point of this video. So I don't know, it wasn't easy, but as time passed, I really started to accept and realize that this California dream I was chasing felt a lot more like a myth. There's not a lot of glitz and glamour left in California. So that is like a surface level illusion. A lot of people are struggling. So despite California's beautiful and vast landscape, without sharing it with people in a meaningful way, it just felt kind of hollow. We leave tomorrow, and even though I know that we have done a lot, the apartment is filled with a lot of like small, annoying items and trinkets that almost feel like more overwhelming than the large stuff. So now it is just about finalizing and putting all of those items in their designated boxes. One of the things that is making the move 10 times harder is this brutal heat wave. Our apartment is probably close to 90 degrees Fahrenheit at this point. I honestly cannot believe this, but look at how much space my books took up. Like, why? I don't even read that much. I mean, I'm trying to, but and yes, I was playing Animal Crossing to decompress. It was definitely the heaviest. So pretty much the worst thing that could have happened happened. Well, actually, knock on wood. I really thought that I did a good job of guesstimating how much will fit in my car, but unfortunately we have started to run out of room in my car. So Zach is currently downstairs trying to tie up one of our boxes on the ceiling or on the roof, which I am not a fan of. I feel like it's going to give me major anxiety on the drive, but fingers crossed that it works, because if not, we're kind of screwed. Let's go check on Zach. I'm so stressed out. I vastly overestimated how much space I had in my car. So that means that we are having to say goodbye to a lot of items, which I know that they're just items, but I'm feeling kind of emotional just because this is like the first time that I created a life for myself outside of my hometown as an adult. So yeah, feeling kind of sad to say goodbye to it all. I can finally show you my balcony for the first time ever without feeling afraid that someone will stalk me. So here is our beloved view that we're saying goodbye to. And we out. If you've been watching my vlogs for a while, this move may come as a surprise to you. I just try not to complain a lot in my vlogs. I feel like nobody wants to listen to or watch complaining. So that might be one reason, is that I never really like opened up and talked about just how much we were starting to fall out of love with California. But I do want to backtrack a little bit and tell you a bit more about why and how we got to choosing Colorado. So I actually visited California in 2015 or 2014 when I was 20 years old. It was one of the first few places that I went with a really close friend at the time. I instantly fell in love with Colorado. I don't know if you know this, but there's kind of like a pipeline of people who move from Florida to Colorado. I think it has to do with just how hot it is in Florida and how flat it is. Once we experience the mountains, it's like we just can't go back. So like in my high school, moving to Colorado, especially them being one of the first states that legalized marijuana, was always like a really popular topic. Again, in 2018, after I went through a really hard breakup, I actually did a workaway program in Colorado Springs where I worked as a nanny for a family for about 2 months. My mom also came out to visit me just for like about a week to support me through that really hard time. And that's another reason why the state has a very special place in my heart, is because I didn't get to experience a lot of traveling with my mom, only just like local Florida and cruise traveling. So Colorado was the first time as an adult that I got to experience like a completely different world with my mom. And then I had my 2 best friends move to Denver area, and before I committed to moving to San Diego, I actually did live in Denver for about 4 months with a roommate. But in the end, Zach and I decided that we did not want to do long distance, so we just made the decision to move together to San Diego. If you've been watching my vlogs for a while, then you may or may not know that I got fired in January. And unfortunately, Zach actually got laid off that exact same week. So we were fortunate to have some savings and unemployment for a few months to help us. But we knew that coming into the summer, we kind of had to make a decision. We had been talking about possibly leaving Southern California for about a year. And actually a huge reason why I started to vlog was because I really wanted to like fall back in love with San Diego and really challenge myself to be more of a tourist in my own city. I worked for a little bit for sure, but I just think over time it can only do so much. Really wanted to challenge ourselves to persevere. I mean, moving is a big decision, especially across states. Essentially, we knew that we're gonna have to start looking for work, and then that really brought up the question of, do we want to work here in San Diego? Do we want to stay here in San Diego? Or do we want to move and start looking for work in the city that we'd be living in? Before we went to Oregon, we kind of went with the mindset of like, let's just check out Portland and let's see if we can really see ourselves living in the PNW area. We did visit Seattle like about a year and a half ago, and we absolutely love Seattle as well. I have always loved Washington, but as someone with depression, the PNW is very, very gloomy. We also had been considering Denver, Colorado, just because we always knew A, I had a lot of history there, and B, I have a lot of good friends that live in that area. My best friends, who I've been really close with for like almost 10 years, they're boyfriends, and they've made a lot of friends. We've come to visit almost annually, so we've actually gotten to know their friends as well. Ultimately, we decided that we wanted to share our happiness with our friends and have a sense of community after so long of not having one. We drove the car from San Diego all the way to Denver. We left it at my friend's house, and then we actually flew to Florida, and we stayed at my father's house for almost a month. We just wanted some time to spend with my family. I had not visited Florida in like almost 2 years, so that was a really wholesome and great experience. We came back after a month, and we were so lucky to have our good friends let us stay with them for a month while we apartment hunted and searched for a place to live, which obviously brings me to my new background. If you've watched my videos, I know that you've never seen this background before, and that is because I'm happy to say that we found our dream apartment and we're here, we did it. I won't show you it just yet, even though it is almost fully furnished, so get excited because I am going to do an apartment tour. We moved in less than 2 weeks ago, and we are just so excited and happy to be in our new apartment. It's absolutely perfect, and we're still paying like $400 or $500 less than what we were paying in California. So super happy. Aside from that, we've just been taking some time to not only furnish the place, but really ground ourselves, settle in. I have been struggling a little bit mentally. I've just been out of a routine for so long, and I'm not gonna lie, I do feel like a bit of a failure for not being able to like stick to a posting schedule. And even this video, I kind of had a lot of dread around it just because of how much footage I had. So we have for sure been taking things slow, but we're really grateful to be in this position. I have a lot of really exciting and fun content ideas coming your way. A fall outfits video, an apartment hunting video. You shouldn't see too much of a change in terms of my content, except just a little bit more memories with friends and nature for sure. We already had a really fun camping trip about 3 weeks ago, where we got to see like the fall colors of Colorado, which only sticks around for like 2 weeks, and it was absolutely beautiful. That was so fun. So I'm excited for more. I hope that you are too. If you watched my vlogs for like California content, I hope that you stick around. I truly do, because your views, your support, your comments mean a lot to me. And if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I will see you very soon.